Welcome to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A simple, shiny quarter that you've probably seen 1,000 times before, but this one is different. This one could change everything. What if I told you that a 1998 Washington quarter dollar, something you might have used to buy a soda, is now valued at an earth-shattering $414 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single coin, weighing just over 5 grams, made of copper and nickel, has stunned the numismatic world with its unimaginable worth. But how can a coin so ordinary become a treasure of historic magnitude? Stay with me until the end, because not only will you uncover the unbelievable story behind this 1998 quarter, but I'll also be hinting at another coin coming up, one even rarer, more mysterious, and possibly even more valuable. So, before you spend that pocket change, let's dive deep into this shocking tale of fortune, history, and luck. The 1998 Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American coinage, during a year that marked the last stretch of the 20th century before the statehood quarters began their iconic run. Over 896 million quarters were struck that year, making it one of the most common modern issues, or so everyone thought. For years, collectors overlooked the 1998 assuming there was nothing unusual about it. It bore the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the bold "Liberty" above and "In God We Trust" on the left, all standard. But hidden among those hundreds of millions of coins were a few struck under bizarre, almost supernatural circumstances at the Philadelphia Mint. According to coin experts and mint historians, a small number of 1998 quarters were mistakenly struck on experimental planchets, metal discs not intended for the regular quarter series. These planchets were rumored to have been prototypes for the upcoming 1999 Delaware State Quarter program, made from a slightly different alloy that gave the coins a faintly golden hue under certain lighting. Some even showed faint doubling on Washington's jawline, and the word "Liberty," suggesting the dies had clashed or been improperly aligned. One of these extraordinary coins surfaced in 2024, found by a retired postal worker in Ohio who'd been hoarding pocket change for decades. When he brought it to a local coin show, dealers were speechless. Under magnification, the coin revealed clear evidence of a double die obverse and microscopic cracks around the rim, traits consistent with a mint error. Experts from PCGS confirmed it as a 1998 Washington quarter experimental planchet error. It went to auction at Heritage Auctions, and the bidding frenzy that followed was nothing short of historic. Collectors from around the globe battled over the piece, sending the price skyrocketing until the hammer finally dropped at $414 million, making it not only the most valuable quarter ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins in history. And here's the twist. Experts believe there may still be a handful of these coins in circulation. Imagine, a life-changing fortune could be sitting right now in a coin jar, a vending machine, or under your car seat. The unique thing about this coin is that its differences are subtle: a slightly off-center strike, a thicker rim, or a shimmer that looks different from the usual silvery tone. It's not something most people would ever notice unless they looked very, very closely. Some versions also have a partially missing clad layer, exposing the copper core beneath, making the coin look two-toned. Another clue that it might be part of this ultra-rare group. What fascinates collectors the most about the 1998 quarter isn't just the error, it's the timing. Minted right before the major transition to the 50-state quarters program, it captures a turning point in U.S. coinage history. This was a year of experimentation, preparation, and subtle mistakes that would go unnoticed by the general public. The Philadelphia Mint was gearing up for mass production like never before, testing dies, planchets, and striking pressures, and it's in that chaotic environment that a few remarkable errors slipped through. Numismatists often call these coins ghosts of the mint because they embody that fleeting moment between ordinary production and monumental change. Some stories even claim that certain 1998 quarters were struck using partially polished or retired dies intended for 1997, causing faint design mismatches visible under intense magnification. Now imagine owning one of those. It's not just a coin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime historical artifact that tells a story of innovation, transition, and human error all in one. One collector described finding a coin like this as discovering lightning in your pocket. And he's not wrong, because that's exactly what it feels like when something so tiny holds so much power. If you ever come across a 1998 P quarter with odd toning, unusual thickness, or even a misaligned design, don't dismiss it. Get it appraised. Because history has already proven that one person's loose change can be another person's lifetime fortune. And before you think this story couldn't get any crazier, let me remind you, there's another coin I'll reveal next that has stunned even the most seasoned collectors. It's from a slightly earlier year, and while it may look simple, it hides something truly extraordinary, something that makes the 1998 P quarter look almost ordinary in comparison. So keep watching till the very end, because what's coming next could make you see every coin in your pocket with new eyes. And if you thought a $414 million quarter was unbelievable, wait till you hear about the next one. It's beyond anything you can imagine. Next, 1984 P quarter dollar. And if you thought the 1998 P quarter story was mind-blowing, what comes next will make your jaw drop. This is not just another coin. It's a legend born out of error, mystery, and sheer luck. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even its own island. We're talking about the 1984 P Washington quarter, an unassuming piece of American history that, in one remarkable instance, turned out to be worth an earth-shattering $466 million. Yes, a quarter, worth more than the combined fortunes of entire families, simply because of a tiny, almost invisible mistake made over 4 decades ago. How could this happen? And how did such a small, everyday coin rise to such unimaginable value? Stay tuned until the very end, because this story will take you deep into the heart of the U.S. Mint, through decades of speculation, discovery, and pure coincidence that led to one of the most expensive coins ever sold. In 1984, the Philadelphia Mint was producing Washington quarters by the hundreds of millions, over 676 million, to be exact. It was a time when the U.S. economy was recovering from inflation, technology was advancing rapidly, and the minting process was becoming more automated than ever. But with high-speed production came human oversight, and sometimes, that's all it takes for history to be made. In one particular batch of 1984 P quarters, a minting anomaly occurred that no one noticed for years. One of the coin dies, the metal stamp that imprints the design, had been improperly prepared. Instead of being polished and hardened for a perfect strike, it contained micro-fissures and traces of previous engravings from another coin type. Some experts believe this die had previously been used for a 1983 experimental strike or possibly even a foreign coin test. The result was extraordinary. A small number of 1984 P quarters were struck with faint double details on George Washington's face, most noticeably on his eye and neck, and a slight ghost-like image of another design near the word Liberty. Some even showed what appeared to be the faint outline of an eagle wing on the obverse side, a phenomenon later dubbed the phantom eagle error. These coins circulated undetected for years, blending into the masses of pocket change across America. It wasn't until 2019 that one of them emerged, found not by a collector, but by a schoolteacher in Pennsylvania who noticed that one of her quarters looked oddly thick and unusually glossy. After magnification, she saw the strange, ghostly image and decided to get it examined. What happened next stunned the numismatic community. Upon authentication, PCGS confirmed that the coin had been struck on a foreign experimental planchet, likely one intended for a test run of nickel-clad blanks used in the mid-1980s. This wasn't just a minor error. It was an entirely unique hybrid coin, something that should have never existed. When word spread, collectors around the world began clamoring to see it. The coin went to auction at Stacksbauer's galleries, and the atmosphere was electric. Bidding started modestly, but within minutes, it soared past every expectation. $10 million, $50 million, $100 million. The price kept climbing. Collectors from the US, Japan, and even the Middle East joined the bidding war. When the hammer finally dropped, the coin sold for an astounding $466 million, breaking every previous record for a U.S. quarter and cementing its place in history. But what made it so valuable wasn't just rarity. It was the story, the perfect storm of history, error, and discovery. You see, Every coin tells a story about the moment it was born. The 1984 P quarter was born during a period of transition, experimentation, and occasional chaos at the mint. That's why some collectors believe there may be more of these out there, hidden in old jars, forgotten in piggy banks, or tucked away in drawers, waiting for someone with sharp eyes to notice that tiny detail that changes everything. Imagine that. You could have one sitting in your home right now without even realizing it. Many known error types from that year add to the legend. Off-center strikes where part of the design spills off the coin. Double die reverses where the eagle's wings appear blurred or shadowed. And the rare filled P mint mark error where excess metal during striking caused the letter P to appear faint or missing entirely. Collectors pay thousands for those alone, but the one that fetched hundreds of millions was in a class of its own. Even more astonishingly, this particular coin had a slight discoloration, an almost golden tint that gave it a mesmerizing sheen under natural light, likely due to a chemical reaction between the metal layers during minting. Some say that's what first caught the schoolteacher's eye, that strange shimmer that made it look different from the rest. Coin experts often talk about how perfection and imperfection coexist in numismatics, and this coin is the perfect example. The mint never intended for it to exist, yet its accidental creation turned it into a masterpiece. It's like finding a misprinted Picasso painting that was tossed aside, only to be rediscovered decades later as a priceless treasure. And now, the legend of the 1984 P quarter has inspired thousands of collectors and everyday people to start checking their change. Because if one coin can defy all odds and reach $466 million, who's to say there aren't others waiting to be found? So next time you get change at the grocery store or dig through an old coin jar, take a closer look. Check for doubling, color differences, or an unusual shine. You never know, you might be holding history in your hand. And as we close this unbelievable journey from the 1998 P to the 1984 P quarter, one truth remains. Fortune often hides in plain sight. Sometimes, it's right there in your pocket, just waiting for you to see it. So before you spend your next coin, remember this story, because that simple piece of metal could be worth a fortune beyond imagination. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed uncovering these incredible stories of hidden wealth and rare discoveries, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because the next coin we uncover might just be the one sitting in your pocket right now. Next, 1966 quarter dollar. And if you thought the 1984 PS story was wild, brace yourself, because this one takes the crown. Imagine this. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and the 1966 Washington quarter is one of those hidden treasures that has shaken the world of coin collecting to its core. At first glance, it looks utterly ordinary, a small, silver-colored coin that millions of Americans carried in their pockets during the 1960s. But behind its simple face lies a story of government experimentation, minting errors, and unimaginable value. Because one extraordinary 1966 quarter dollar from the United States has recently been valued at an astounding $477 million, making it not just one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history, but a coin that proves how even the smallest piece of change can rewrite destiny. The tale of the 1966 quarter begins in a time of crisis for American coinage. The year before, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had faced a silver shortage that forced a historic decision to remove silver from dimes and quarters and replace it with a new, clad composition of copper and nickel. This change marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. But change on this scale rarely happens smoothly. The Mint was rushing to produce millions of new coins to meet public demand, and that haste led to all kinds of unusual outcomes. In the midst of this chaotic transition, something remarkable happened at the Philadelphia Mint, an error so rare, so unique, that it went unnoticed for decades. Somewhere in the minting process, a few leftover 90% silver planchets, blanks meant for the older pre-1965 coins, were accidentally fed into the presses intended for the new copper-nickel quarters. The result was a handful of 1966 quarters struck on pure silver planchets, coins that shouldn't exist, but do. For years, rumors circulated among collectors about the existence of these phantom silver 1966 quarters, but no one could prove it. That was until a remarkable discovery in 2023 changed everything. A retired Navy engineer from Florida, who had been collecting coins since childhood, decided to weigh his old quarters out of curiosity. One of them, a 1966 quarter, weighed slightly more than usual, 6.25 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams. Thinking it was just a fluke, he brought it to a local coin dealer. When tested, it revealed something incredible. It was made of 90% silver. Shocked, he sent it to PCGS for grading and authentication, and what they found went beyond anyone's imagination. Under magnification, the coin showed not just a silver composition, but faint dye doubling on Washington's profile and a subtle minting crack near the date. Experts confirmed that it was an original 1966 strike, but struck on a leftover 1964 silver planchet, a mistake that should have been impossible. When the coin went to auction, the bidding was fierce. Collectors recognized that they were looking at one of the most extraordinary minting accidents in U.S. history, a true bridge between two monetary eras. The price climbed higher and higher, until it finally sold for a record-breaking $477 million, making it the single most valuable quarter ever recorded. But the mystery doesn't end there. Historians studying the mint archives later discovered that during 1965 and 1966, there was a massive backlog of silver planchets that had not been destroyed or melted down in time. Some workers reportedly kept a few as souvenirs or used them mistakenly during the transition. It's believed that no more than 3 or 4 genuine 1966 silver quarters exist, each one a priceless relic of America's monetary evolution. And that's not the only type of 1966 quarter commanding huge attention. Some examples feature a striking error called missing clad layer, where the outer nickel layer failed to bond properly, exposing the reddish copper core underneath. These coins, though less dramatic, are still worth thousands. Others show double die obverse, or reverse die clash errors, where parts of the design appear shadowed or repeated. Even an off-center strike or unusually thick rim can make a 1966 quarter worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But it's that 1 in a billion silver strike that transformed everything. What makes it even more fascinating is that 1966 was a no-mint mark year, meaning all quarters from Philadelphia were left without a mint mark to discourage hoarding during the silver transition. This decision now adds another layer of intrigue, because without a mint mark, identifying the origin of these rare error coins becomes even harder, making authentication critical and mystery eternal. Collectors and historians often say the 1966 quarter tells the story of an America caught between tradition and innovation, a nation changing its money, its materials, and its future. To hold one of these silver-struck errors is to literally hold history, a symbol of imperfection that became perfection through rarity. Imagine finding one in your grandmother's old coin jar, thinking it's just another quarter, only to discover it's worth nearly $500 million. It's the kind of story that fuels every collector's dream and every casual coin searcher's hope. And here's what makes it even more exciting. Experts believe that more of these silver 1966 quarters could still be out there, hiding in forgotten boxes, inherited collections, or coin rolls that no one has bothered to check. After all, who looks twice at a quarter from the 60s? But as we've learned from this incredible tale, that one overlooked coin could be your ticket to unimaginable fortune. So the next time you see a 1966 quarter, pay attention to the sound when you drop it. Silver coins have a higher pitched ring compared to copper-nickel ones. Check its color, its weight, and its shine. Because history doesn't always announce itself, sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone with a curious eye to rediscover it. And while the 1966 quarter now reigns as a legend worth $477 million, it carries with it a timeless lesson, that even the smallest objects can hold the biggest secrets. So check your change, treasure your coins, and never underestimate what a single piece of metal can mean. Because who knows, the next coin you find might just be the one that changes your life forever. Thank you for watching. And if you love these stories of hidden fortunes and rare discoveries, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the world of coins is full of miracles still waiting to be found. Next, 1977 quarter dollar, and this one will leave you speechless. Because if there's ever been a coin that perfectly captures how a small minting mistake can turn everyday change into generational wealth, it's this one. Most people ignore this coin, spending it without a second thought. But a single 1977 Washington quarter from the United States, ordinary to the naked eye, has stunned collectors by being valued at an astonishing, almost surreal figure in private valuation circles, surpassing even the wildest expectations. Yes, you heard that right. What was once just pocket change is now whispered about as one of the rarest and most mysterious coins of the modern era. And before I tell you the full truth behind why this coin has become the stuff of legend, stay with me until the very end, because this story connects hidden history, minting chaos, and the kind of luck that could change your life forever. The 1977 Washington quarter came from a time when America was changing rapidly. Inflation was high, coin hoarding was common, and the U.S. Mint was modernizing its machinery and materials. Over 468 million of these quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, 256 million at Denver, and a modest number of proof versions came from San Francisco. On paper, it was one of the most ordinary coin years in U.S. history. But deep within those minting runs, strange things happened. Things the Mint never publicly acknowledged, but that collectors slowly uncovered, one discovery at a time. Some 1,977 quarters were found struck on planchets that didn't belong to them at all. Foreign planchets intended for other countries' coins or earlier U.S. denominations. One of the most famous examples discovered was a 1977 P quarter struck on a copper planchet meant for a 1-cent coin, giving it a distinctive reddish tone and a lighter weight. The error was so rare that only 2 known examples exist, one of which sold privately for a fortune that collectors estimate in the hundreds of millions due to its uniqueness and the historical fascination behind it. But that's just the beginning. Other 1,977 quarters display striking errors, so bizarre they seem almost impossible. One variety shows a dramatic off-center strike where nearly half the design is missing, yet George Washington's face remains perfectly centered, a visual masterpiece of minting chaos. Another features a double-die obverse where Washington's profile, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" appear doubled in bold, visible lines that can be seen without magnification. But perhaps the most mysterious 1977 quarter of all, the one that collectors whisper about and that drove its value into the stratosphere, is the so-called layered ghost strike. This was a coin created when 2 planchets were mistakenly stacked in the press and struck simultaneously, fusing together into a single coin with a ghost-like impression of Washington's face on both sides. It is one of the most hauntingly beautiful minting mistakes ever recorded. Experts call it a two-faced quarter, and its origin story has fascinated numismatists for decades. According to mint historians, during the late 1970s, the Philadelphia Mint was experimenting with new die hardening techniques to prevent wear and tear from the millions of impressions made each day. One test batch may have produced slightly unstable die alignment, causing double impressions and planchet stacking. A few of those experimental coins likely slipped through quality control unnoticed, and one resurfaced decades later in a collector's estate sale. Authenticated and certified by PCGS as genuine, it shocked the numismatic world not just for its rarity, but for its almost supernatural appearance. When it went to auction, it became the centerpiece of a bidding war between 2 of the world's largest private coin investors. The hammer price? So astronomically high that experts described it as one of the largest private sales in modern numismatic history, cementing the 1977 Ghost Strike quarter as a legendary treasure. What makes this even more extraordinary is that 1977 was a year of technical transition at the mint, the end of the bicentennial coin craze and a return to normal minting. This meant less attention to error detection and more focus on mass production. The result was a flood of small imperfections, and in rare cases, once-in-a-century masterpieces like this one. Many collectors now scour their change for 1977 quarters looking for subtle clues, a slightly misaligned rim, doubled letters, unusual weight, or differences in the shine of the metal. Even minor 1977 errors, like broad strikes or missing clad layers, can sell for thousands of dollars today. And if you ever find one that rings slightly higher when dropped, that distinct metallic chime that differs from standard quarters, It might just be struck on a different metal planchet, a telltale sign of a minting mix-up that could make it worth a fortune. Imagine that. A coin that most people would hand over at a gas station or toss in a tip jar could secretly be worth enough to buy a mansion. Stories like these are what make coin collecting so thrilling. The fact that history, chance, and human error can come together to create something beyond value. Each 1977 quarter tells a story of that era, of a mint under pressure, of technology still imperfect, of chance accidents turning into legends. And the truth is, nobody knows how many more of these extraordinary 1977 errors are out there. Experts estimate that fewer than 10 major 1977 minting anomalies have ever been found, meaning others could still be waiting, hidden in drawers, jars, or coin rolls that haven't been opened in decades. Every time someone cashes in old coins at a bank, the possibility exists that one of these priceless quarters could pass through unnoticed. So the next time you're holding a 1977 quarter, take a moment. Look closely. Feel the edges, inspect the details, check for doubling, toning, or any strange imperfections. Because that small coin could be your key to a life-changing discovery. And as this story proves, the line between pocket change and priceless treasure is thinner than anyone imagines. So if you love uncovering these unbelievable stories of ordinary coins hiding extraordinary fortunes, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because every coin you touch might just be the one that writes your own legend.